I'm happy to talk to you about how our customer Bouygues uses our SynaptiQ platform to maximize their performance. First, I'm going to introduce our customer, Bouygues Energie en Service. They're a very fascinating customer to have. They're an EPC contractor and they have a global playfield, as they say, a global portfolio of plants, very large plants, very complex plants, almost fun for us to have in our platform. And very important is that they're also very dedicated to digitalization, to using data to maximize performance and operations, and that makes them a perfect fit for 3E. This is a bit of a view on their portfolio. So they have about 3 gigawatt peak currently delivered or in construction, and a lot more that is currently being studied. And you can tell right away for such a portfolio, and of course Bouygues is one example, but any EPCer with such portfolio will have certain challenges. The challenges that we hear about is, first of all, they are spending quite a lot of time in analyzing the performance of the plants and in identifying where the gaps are and what they can do to increase the performance. That's a lot of manual work, and they don't always get to analyze everything for every plant. So even if they put time and effort in it, they still miss things and there's still significant underperformance in the portfolio. And then there is also the issue that you have a big diverse portfolio, as I said, but it's very hard to have a unified view of what is happening in the portfolio, where are the underperformances, and what should I direct my attention to improve performance. And that's where our platform SynaptiQ can add a lot of value and is a really good fit for such a portfolio. So on this slide you see a few characteristics of SynaptiQ, and the 2 most relevant ones are the one on the bottom. First of all, that comprehensive portfolio-wide view of very diverse plants is something that SynaptiQ is very good at. A lot of dashboards, etc., to analyze the performance. And then on the bottom right there, the advanced analytics. And that will be the main focus of today's talk, because that is the engine that will automatically break down the performance losses in the portfolio, automatically quantify them, and then also give recommendations for improvement. So to avoid all of that manual work or these missed opportunities, as we mentioned earlier. So this technology is built on the core foundation of SynaptiQ. What differentiates us is our physics-based digital twin and our best-in-class satellite irradiation data. So let's take a look at this case study at a plant managed and built by Bouygues. This is a 250 megawatt peak plant in Vietnam, operational since 2019. And this is the kind of data that Bouygues gets out of our system fully automatically. So you see 2 waterfall plots here. The one on the left is the simulation of expected energy based on the measured irradiation and meteorological data. That is a simulation that is continuously running to calculate the expected production. And then the waterfall plot on the right, that's where the advanced analytics really come in. That is the breakdown between that expected production and the measured production. And SynaptiQ will break it down in 18 different categories of losses to show where the losses are coming from. And here we see the example highlighted of the soiling deviation, which is a known cause of loss for that plant. Just to be clear, this soiling deviation is not measured with a sensor. It's fully automatically calculated based on the monitoring data. Another loss of that plant is curtailment. In Vietnam, there's quite a lot of curtailment. So that's another loss category where, quite a lot of energy is being lost. And then, of course, it's important to also calculate the lost revenue from the energy. So that's what we're seeing here. You see that both of these losses, the soiling and the curtailment, are leads to a revenue loss of upwards of $1 million per year. And that is, of course, also very important information to take certain decisions about cleaning schedules, to understand how much money is being lost through the curtailment, etc., etc. All of that fully automatically again, so no more manual calculations being done by Bouygues. And then they can dig even further. So here you are seeing the soiling losses per inverter and per day. And that's of course a very big advantage compared to sensors, for instance, is that you have a very high spatial resolution. You know exactly where these losses are occurring, and you can identify local soiling losses if they occur. So let's summarize a little bit the advantages that Bouygues tells us they have from SynaptiQ. First of all, and the most obvious one, is that they save costs thanks to the automation. There are things they used to do manually with the Excel sheets, etc., and now it's fully automated. They can trust the results. It saves them a lot of time. But at least as important is that they can also detect new things that they weren't able to detect through the manual methods, like shading, like PID, like MPP deviations. These are very intricate problems that to detect them early, you really need advanced analytics. And then also what we mentioned earlier, the granularity of having soiling per day and per inverter to identify localized things is not something you can do without this technology. And then last and definitely not least, when you use this technology, you're increasing the performance of the plants, increasing the energy output, and the main beneficiary to that is actually the owner of the plant. So the customers of Bouygues are the main beneficiary of this. So they are really increasing the value of their O&M services, giving deep insights, giving them a view on maybe the business plan will not be met, and carrying out preventive and predictive maintenance. So that's a bit the value that Bouygues is seeing in this. Now, let's try to quantify that. And the next slide is not specific to Bouygues, it's a general slide. What is the value that is being created through our technology? And this slide will take a bit more explanation, but basically there are 4 levels of monitoring that you can use. You have the basic monitoring that comes with the hardware. Then you have self-learning digital twins. A lot of products out there say we have a digital twin, but it's actually a system that learns what the performance of a plant should be based on historical data and then detects deviations from that historical performance. Now, of course, that means that if you have underperformance in the historical data, you're going to miss that. And that's what the advantage that we have with SynaptiQ is that we have that not self-learning but physics-based digital twin so that we can detect performance issues from day one. So that's already a big jump in performance thanks to that. And then we have our advanced analytics in our solar analytics product where you detect all of these losses that, yeah, it's going to take a while. If you're just using standard KPIs, it's going to take a long while before you detect those losses. You may not even detect them at all. And all of the time that you're not detecting them, you're of course losing energy and losing money. So that is where our solar analytics really make the difference and creates value. And here we're looking at an example for a standard 1 gigawatt portfolio where we calculate that compared to a basic monitoring system with the whole setup of SynaptiQ Asset Operations and Solar Analytics, you can save about or increase the revenue and save costs for a total of about 5 million euros per year, which is of course significant. So I hope that with this I've convinced you of the value of our technology, and if you do want to learn more about it and apply it to your own portfolio, please get in touch with us. Thank you very much.